And I try to tell people to temper their expectations. We can't make up for 20 plus years of poor political planning in 6 months. It's not possible, which is why I think the Abandon Biden campaign is important, because Abandon Biden campaign is about not election 2024, though obviously somewhat about 2024, but it's more about 2028. It's more about 2032. It's more about 2036, right? It's that if you deliver a blow, a body blow, to this multi-million-dollar entity, which is the DNC, and you take out their president and you agitate and you make him a pariah. Look at how much he's getting interrupted everywhere he goes. Yeah. He's afraid. He's afraid to engage in a mass audience. He can't. He has to have these private meetings. They release the location just like, minutes before he comes and these sorts of things. He's hiding. He's hiding from the American people, right? So if this is the power that we can exert, that we will have laid the groundwork for 2028. We won't have to go through these paces again. We will actually be at top gear instead of trying to, grind through the low gears first. Yeah. That all of this connectivity and the fundraising mechanisms and the voter education and even the networking that's going on and everything that has to be in place in order to actually have political influence, we're scrambling now to build it. Okay. And the Abandon Biden campaign unites everybody behind a very clear goal, an actually achievable goal. And even if we can't achieve it, it's probably going to happen anyway, and then we can take credit for it goal. In order to position us in a better place for every election that's going to come, and in order to send a message to every politician that comes after that, now the United States, now the Muslims of the United States have organized, and now you have to consider and make your political calculus with us in mind, right? So I think that there is more, I would say, more than American exceptionalism, because here's where one thing where I don't think the American exceptionalism sort of moniker fits. I actually think it's quite empowering in this particular instance. We are exceptional in our responsibility, in our duty. We have the most accountability in front of the Muslim Ummah right now, more than anybody in Egypt, I believe, personally, more than anybody in Jordan, more than anybody in Gaza or in the West Bank. The Muslims of the United States of America have the most responsibility and will be held to account the strictest and severest in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than any other Muslim in the world. Yeah. Because our tax dollars are going, our politicians are allowing it to happen, everything is happening because of the United States political system. And so let's lean into the exceptionalism if it's going to light a fire under people. Let's lean into the urgency if it's going to shake people awake. I think the biggest obstacle, rather than the exceptionalism, is hayat ad-dunya. Right, is what the Prophet ﷺ told us when he talked about al-wahn, and he talked about Muslims being weak despite being numerous, despite even being successful, right? Is that hubb ad-dunya wa karahiyat al-maut. We're afraid of being doxxed, which is why Gen Z is so awesome. They're not, right? We're afraid of losing our jobs, right? Look at the Google protest that just happened yesterday. 9 people got fired. They don't care. That's what we need, right? Some of the places I go and I speak to, I said, everyone in this room has to be ready to be arrested. Everybody in this room has to, because if you look at the 60s, look at the movements for civil rights, that's what they had to do. They had to be ready to be arrested, to have dogs sicked on them, to be beaten up by cops, to have fire hoses. And we hail it now, we shall overcome, and we sing these songs, and it's this mythic thing. It wasn't like that back then. They were being called terrorists then. If we want a similarly spectacular political victory, we need to be prepared to pay the similar political price. And until we're ready for that sacrifice, that's the danger. Not being ready for that sacrifice. That we can't be too comfortable. And unfortunately, we suffer with this in America, with being too comfortable. The standard of living is too high. Like people, unfortunately. And that's not every American Muslim community, but it's many American Muslim communities. So we have to be ready to sacrifice, ready to take pay cuts, ready to move, relocate, ready to lose our jobs, ready to be doxxed, ready to get uncomfortable, ready to, if you're someone of means and of wealth, you should be ready to be called an anti-Semite and take them to court and go to litigation just so it can go to the Supreme Court. And now you've made a ruling that affects everybody. Someone comes after somebody who doesn't have means. What are they going to do? They're going to be cowed into silence. So this is the sacrifice mentality is the biggest thing I think that Muslims need to gird themselves with in order to pull it off. That yes, exceptional. We're exceptionally responsible and we can be exceptionally successful and we can help the people in Gaza. But we have to be ready to sacrifice.